to everyone logged on for the budget presentation and commission meetings. We had a technical glitch and had to restart our Facebook feed. So right now we are working on getting that up at Macon-Bibb.us. If you will bear with us, we'll be live in just a few minutes. This is Rachel Gamble with Public Affairs. We're doing a live test to make sure the audio and video are working on our website. For those watching on Facebook, we're also putting it on Macon-Bibb.us, so those without Facebook can watch it.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call to order this special called meeting of the Macon-Bibb County Commission for the purpose of presenting the proposed budget for FY21. Let me read this disclaimer as we're required to do at the beginning of every official meeting. And that is, pursuant to the instructions from the President of the United States, the Honorable Donald J. Trump, the Governor of Georgia, the Honorable Brian Kemp, and Mayor of Macon-Bibb County, Honorable Robert A.B. Rickert. Macon-Bibb County Commission meetings are scheduled for Tuesday, May the 19th, 2020 will be available to the Macon-Bibb County Commissioners by video conference only for the 4:30 p.m. presentation of the FY21 budget, the 5 o'clock p.m. pre-commission meeting, and the 6 o'clock p.m. regular commission meeting. The commission chambers will be closed to the public and the press as we follow the recommendations from the White House and the governor's office to limit public gatherings in order to slow the spread of COVID-19. Therefore, the public and press may only access the meeting simultaneously online at www.Macon-Bibb.us or www.facebook.com/Macon-Bibb County. With that, this notice having been read, I'd like to ask the clerk to call the roll and be sure we have a quorum of commissioners on the call. Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Tillman,
Here.
Commissioner Bivens,
Here.
Commissioner Allen,
Here.
Commissioner Lucas,
Here.
Commissioner Schlesinger,
Here.
Commissioner Jones,
Here.
Commissioner Shepard, he's here, Commissioner Watkins,
Here.
Commissioner Wynn.
Present.
Sounds like we've got
Full house.
full house, and I'm most appreciative to all of the commissioners for mastering the Zoom technology and for joining us this way. It's a new and different time. With that having been said, let me take just a point of personal privilege to say a word of appreciation to our budget and finance and PR teams for helping pull these facts, figures together, putting them in an appropriate format and delivering them to the commissioners and those that are watching live on Facebook or on the website. Julie Moore, Sharita Jones, Christy Alucci and her team in finance, Chris Floor and Rachel Gamble have all done a wonderful job, and I wanted to say a word of personal thanks and appreciation to them for this. With that having been said, let me start on the FY21 address, a budget address. And this will, I think you're going to see the PowerPoint presentation for the entire time. I'll be talking over the PowerPoint presentation, but I think it'll make more sense if we just keep the PowerPoint presentation up for you to look at rather than my smiling face. This will be my final budget message, and perhaps my most difficult. So I think it appropriate to take a quick look back to see how far we have come before we address the situation that makes our FY21 budget so challenging. The newly elected commission of the consolidated government of Macon-Bibb County went on a planning retreat in 2014, and the Carl Vinson Institute of Government helped us to formulate a vision statement and a mission statement. Over the last 6 years, we have remained focused on the objectives of those two statements. And as a result, we have reversed the out-migration of population and tax base and created a vibrant urban core that makes us the hub city of the Middle Georgia region. We also met the requirements of our charter for a 20% reduction in the general fund budget. And between our base year of the former city and county governments combined, which totaled $169 million, we reduced the budget for fiscal year 17 to $144 million. Much of the credit for this accomplishment goes to the dedicated department heads and employees who were able to do more with less. We eliminated the former city taxes of 9.8 mills, which amounted to almost $20 million of revenue each year. And we tried to match that reduced revenue by reducing our expenses. Unfortunately, healthcare cost and pension funding requirements caused our actual expenses to exceed our budget, and we were unable to realize the increased revenues that we had hoped to achieve with higher sales tax revenues and franchise fees. We had to use fund balance reserves to meet our expenses, and ultimately were forced to raise taxes 2 years in a row to restore a healthy balance. However, even with those two tax increases, 2/3 of our residents are paying taxes at a lower millage rate now than prior to consolidation, and the other 1/3 are seeing enhanced services and facilities. Fund balance increased in FY19 by almost $14 million, primarily due to reductions in healthcare expenses and not filling vacant positions. And this year, we were on track to see another $7 million addition to fund balance, but that was prior to COVID-19. And you'll see the little asterisk and the footnotes on that chart that kind of explain that in a little more detail. The full impact of COVID-19 is unknown. There is no way to accurately estimate what the impact of COVID-19 on our revenues will be for the next year, as we are only now beginning to see actual numbers for the final quarter of FY20. I say again, we have no way to accurately calculate our revenues for FY21. We do know that sales taxes for March were down by almost $300,000, primarily as a result of the requirement to shelter in place and the closing of restaurants, bars, and entertainment venues for the last half of March. And based on the state reports of their reduced April revenues for a full month of closures, we are estimating that our reduction in sales taxes for April could be as much as $900,000. Automobile sales are also down, and the new alternative to ad valorem taxes on your car, the title ad valorem tax, which is collected only at the time title is transferred, is expected to be dramatically reduced. Hotel motel taxes have been decimated since people are not traveling, and occupancy rates have plummeted. Those taxes are received about 60 days after a month closes, so we are not sure of the exact impact, but we expect it to be severe. We recently transitioned several of our outside agencies over exclusively to hotel motel taxes, so we know that they will be dramatically affected also. Other fines, fees, and taxes will also be affected as a result of delayed construction, show cancellations, and business closings and or bankruptcy, each with its own ripple effects. Estimates of revenue loss and reports of anticipated expense reduction methods are sobering, to say the least. Furloughs and layoffs are forecast, and we are not sure how long that will last. The ICMA and GMA survey results, which are up on your screen now, indicate that more than half of the municipalities with a population between 50,000 and 199,000 expect to furlough employees. Some cities have already taken dramatic action. And if we anticipate a 10% reduction in revenues for next year, we need to find ways to cut our expenses by $16.6 million. Since 80% of our budget is personnel cost, and the other 20% is primarily fixed utility, gasoline, and insurance costs, it's hard to imagine a way to balance our budget without adversely impacting our employees. No one likes the idea, but I'm afraid we have no other choice. I find it ironic that my first year as mayor in 2008 was the mortgage loan crisis that caused us to lay off about 50 of our employees. And here in my last year as mayor, we have COVID-19, which will require more impact on personnel. Thank goodness we have financially positioned ourselves with reserve fund balance to help us weather this economic downturn. What I am proposing is a temporary reduction in time worked, but with a permanent adjustment to the pay scale. National estimates of revenue reduction are 15%, but I think and hope that we will fare better than the national average. If we were to be down by 15%, that would equate to a loss of $24.9 million, or a budget of about $142 million. The last time that budget number was contemplated, it included the elimination of recreation, transit, libraries, arts, and museums. But if we maintain our current level of expenditures and did not have that level of reduced revenues, we would almost completely eliminate our entire fund balance. That would be irresponsible and unwise. However, if we take measured steps to reduce our expenses now, I think we can get through this economic downturn without depleting our fund balance to an unacceptable level. I am proposing a budget revenue of $149.6 million, or 10% less than this year's amount. That's a reduction of $16.6 million from our current year's projected revenues of $166.2 million. To that amount, I am proposing that we use $10 million of our fund balance reserve for a final budget revenue number of $159.6 million. Why do I project only a 10% reduction in revenues? Well, first, let's look at all of our revenue sources. We are estimating minor changes in most sources, but significant changes to the taxes category, which is by far the largest category of revenues, with $150 million plus being in the taxes category. So let's take a closer look at the taxes category. Property taxes are $80 million, and we're projecting a 4% loss in property taxes, so that the revenue realized in FY21 will be $77 million. Prior year property, $2 million item, less 4%, $1.9 million receipt. Franchise fees, 8.9, less 2%, $8.7 million received. Sales taxes, $32 million, less 33%. That's $21.4 million to be received next year. Tabit taxes, 8.9, less 15%, down to 5.1 million. Insurance premium taxes, 11 million, less 2% for 10.8. Other fines, fees, and forfeitures, 9.8 million, less 0% for still 9.8. That totals 135 million. But again, this is just an estimate. So how do I propose to accomplish the reduction in expenses to equal the reduction in revenues? I propose that we eliminate virtually all vacant positions, meaning that we would not be able to fill vacant positions unless absolutely essential. This is projected to result in about $3.1 million in savings. In light of continued restrictions on physical distancing and concerns of parents for group recreation, I am proposing that we furlough recreation employees for June, July, and August for 4 days per week, which would allow them to draw unemployment insurance, but still be able to keep their health insurance. This will result in about $660,000 in savings for those 3 months. Hopefully, this will be limited to just these 3 months and we can resume recreation activities in September. I am proposing furloughs of all civilian employees for 1/2 a day per week on afternoons. That would amount to 1 day per pay period. And over the course of the next fiscal year, that would amount to $2.8 million in savings. This proposal does not include emergency responders in the sheriff's office, fire department, E911, and others, as any reductions there would be offset by paying overtime to others to retain the level of emergency services we need. This budget does not include a millage rate increase, but maintains essential services. There is no capital improvement program allocation in the general fund, but we are fortunate to have SPLOST funds that will provide some funding for capital improvements. I hope to be able to implement the new pay scale effective January the 1st. We are still waiting for the final study results. So when we come out of this temporary economic crisis, a permanent pay scale will be in place. We are eliminating all discretionary travel and allowing only travel essential for certification and job-related requirements. We anticipate reductions in fuel costs, small equipment, and contract services as well. This budget results in new revenues of $149.6 million, expenses of $159.6 million, and using $10 million of fund balance to cover the gap. Our remaining fund balance of 17.8 projected would be about 35 days of expenses. And again, we should all be proud of having built the fund balance back up to a point where it could provide this relief. This leaves the proposed level of spending for public safety at the highest level by far. We owe our first responders a huge debt of gratitude for all they do for us, and our budget reflects that they are our top priority. This budget reduces the level of expenses for salaries and benefits to a level not seen in several years, but hopefully the elimination of vacant positions, the reduction in the number of hours worked, which will be temporary, will be offset by a new pay scale, which will be permanent. This budget also contains the necessary expenditure of funds to maintain our commitments to pension and health care costs. Outside agencies will be challenged to accommodate some reductions in the amounts they have been provided, and some will be eliminated altogether. We have allocated a total number from the general fund that is the same as last year's funding amounts by category. And the Budget Audit and Personnel Operations and Finance Committee will certainly have its work cut out for it as they try to parse that same amount out among agencies that are in such difficult circumstances. I recognize that this budget will need a lot of adjustments depending on future circumstances. How much and how fast the economy rebounds will obviously impact future revenues, and a mid-year adjustment by the new commission will be expected. so that hopefully we can implement the pay scale, eliminate furloughs, and restore positions and a capital improvement program. But for now, our proposed budget takes last year's budget of $166 million, reduces the expenditures by $16.6 million, and contemplates a balanced budget by using $10 million of fund balance reserves for a final number of $159.4 million. In closing, I would say to our constituents that we have done what we needed to do to have a balanced budget without a tax increase. And I would say to our employees that this budget tries to steer us through troubled economic times with a minimum amount of temporary pain for you. I recognize and understand, however, that this is not what you deserve. I ask only for your understanding of the circumstances that compel the proposals of this budget. I can only hope that the economic rebound will be quicker and stronger than currently contemplated, and that a mid-year budget review in January by your new commission will result in more favorable treatment in the second half of this year. Thank you for your attention, ladies and gentlemen and commissioners. I appreciate it. And with this, we are still preparing hard copies of the budget that will be available for those who want a hard copy. I understand that Chris Floor will be emailing out a electronic copy to anybody that wants it in that format, and we'll also have posted on the website instructions as to how the general public can access the figures that we've been over tonight. With that, this meeting is adjourned.
Question. I have questions.
I'm sorry. Mr. Watkins?
Yeah, I just some follow-up questions on the presentation.
Not at this point. I'm going to let that roll over into your meeting, sir, because I understand that you'll start having your operation and finance review of the budget beginning on Tuesday.
Thursday.
No, beginning on Thursday of this week, and then again on Tuesday. So we'll defer questions.
I have to receive a copy of said budget.
I'm sorry. Say again.
When will we get a copy? You mentioned that they weren't ready yet.
They are in the back, putting them together now, and should have hard copies for those of you that want a hard copy. And again, the electronic copy will be posted momentarily.
All right. And you'll be present, or who will be present during, I guess, on Thursday to follow up questions? Because I'm curious first on how is this a balanced budget? You said the revenues don't match expenses.
Well, that's an excellent point, but using fund balance to bridge the gap, I think is what makes it a balanced budget. And I think this is one of those times where the use of the fund balance is not only necessary, but appropriate. So with that having been said, we'll adjourn this meeting and move momentarily into the pre-commission meeting. This special call meeting for the budget presentation is adjourned. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me call to order this pre-commission meeting of the Macon-Bibb County Commission for Tuesday, May the 19th. We've already had a roll call and have a full complement of commissioners still on the call, and we're most appreciative of that. And as we said earlier, this is being broadcast live, www.facebook.com/Macon-Bibb County. Or at the website www.Macon-Bibb.us if you need to tune in there. The pre-commission meeting has a couple of announcements that I wanted to get to. I think Michael McNeil is on the line and going to give us an update on Governor Kemp's latest executive orders. Michael, are you there? And can you give us the update on the governor's latest executive orders?
Yes, sir. So Governor Kemp issued 2 executive orders on the 12th, last week, Tuesday the 12th in the afternoon after our committee meetings. The first one relates to his previous order suspending the road test requirement for new driver's license applicants. And he clarified that that suspension was only a temporary suspension through the end of September. So anyone, y'all may have seen some news stories about, these thousands of teenagers getting driver's licenses without having to do the road tests. Well, now under this new order, it clarifies that before September 30th, they have to actually go back and complete the road test so that they can prove they're competent to drive in order to be allowed to stay on the road. The second order from last Tuesday was an update of the longer order that he had done a couple of weeks ago that he's been calling Reviving a Healthy Georgia. This one from last week was about 30 pages long and generally updates the same kind of provisions that he had from a couple of weeks before that relating to reopening of restaurants, movie theaters, bowling alleys, etc. But slightly relaxing most of those requirements for the different industries. For example, for restaurants, the number of people in a restaurant was relaxed from 10 people per 500 square feet to 10 people per 300 square feet. Party sizes are allowed to go from 6 people to 10 people. So just little incremental steps like that. Same for just general industry. There was some relaxing for like hair salons can open their waiting rooms back up. Movie theaters and bowling alleys can open their arcade rooms back up. Things like that. The 2 major differences, one, the Department of Human Resources Administration for the Georgia Department of Administrative Services was directed to issue some guidelines for the reopening of state government offices and for the return of telework for state offices. So if you have any business with any of the state agencies, then that is expected to open up imminently. And any of those guidelines might be useful for any other industries in the public that are looking at opening back up as well. The other major component that was new was concerning allowing summer camps to take place and their provisions for ways in which people can operate summer camps, taking account of COVID protections and things like that.
So
I think the one thing that everybody wants to know is when can groups of more than 10 people get together, commission meetings? When can we have commission meetings where we have a crowd of people assembled in chambers, Michael?
Yes, sir. So the current order that I just went over goes through the end of the month of May, goes through May 30th. And that relates to all groups of 10 or more in public. And then the general shelter in place order for certain high-risk individuals, people over the age of 65 or with certain health conditions, that remains through June 12th. And so specifically as to commission meetings, June 12th is still the date that expires, but that remains to be seen as far as whether the governor is going to extend further or make any further changes.
As I have indicated in the past, though, I think that the June 12th, since we have several members of commission that have medical conditions that cause them to be careful. We're still contemplating the first live meeting in chambers as being June the 16th, Tuesday, June the 16th at this point. Since the June the 12th is after the June 9th meeting. Certainly the 16th is what we're currently proposing to be the first live meeting. Other questions of commissioners of Michael? I see Commissioner Jones with a question. Commissioner Jones? Uh-oh, we're gonna have to get you unmuted, Commissioner.
Hear me now? Okay.
Yep, got you now.
As one of those commissioners who had health issues and is now better than ever and totally healthy, I am very much in favor of meeting sooner live in person. And we could certainly do that, keeping space by having tables down in the floor of the chamber like we did when the state legislators met with us, but we could be further apart. So I, for one, am all for meeting as soon as practically possible, not waiting till June, whatever the date you said, June 19th, is that what you said?
16th.
16th.
So I'm for meeting, I'm for going ahead and meeting. My health issues are resolved. Yes, I have the age, but I'm out every day somewhere. We can open safely and function safely like all of us are doing individually, I think, in our daily lives. And I'm all for that.
We'll certainly take that into consideration and see what we can do and keep you closely posted. Other questions from commissioners of
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Commissioner Watkins, go ahead.
You mentioned summer camps. Not completely sold on the idea of completely zeroing out summer camps. Could you give me a little more background on the governor's summer camp provision?
My information, and I really ought to call on Dr. Moffitt and see if he can, but my information is that they have had a lot of parents to express concern about the conditions and what we're going to do and not do. And they've only 34, I think was the number that I last heard, that had signed up for summer recreation, whereas usually at this point in time, there are a lot more than that. So Dr. Moffitt?
Yes, sir. You
actually asking about the governor's provision, but I am interested in your thought process.
Well, let's go back to Michael then. And Michael, can you give us any more detail about the governor's order and day camps or overnight camps or what summer camps? I guess would be a better way to ask the question.
So the summer camps, it's in the section of the order called Education and Children. He allows child care facilities to increase from 10 students to 20 at a time, as long as they maintain appropriate staff to child ratios. They have to still do symptom checks for children that are coming in, and only the children can come in. That it's still a contactless drop off and pick up. There is a CDC summer camps guideline that is expected to be issued before the end of May, but that has not yet been published as of a week ago. I haven't checked back on the CDC website to see if they've issued their guidelines yet, but they've announced that they're drafting them, and the governor has adopted them pre-publication by reference. The summer camps are not allowed to do any overnight stays unless expressly permitted by the State Department of Public Health. And then there's a list of 33 preventative measures that are required for any summer camps. The list of 20 measures that are required for non-critical infrastructure operations. In general, these are symptom screening, sanitization procedures, limiting camp groups to 20 per group, limiting contact between groups and participants. For example, some summer camps might typically break the groups out into different sessions and have teachers that rotate between different groups. They're supposed to stay with one group now for the entire session. Providing personal protective equipment to workers and campers is available. And once overnight camps are allowed, assuming the CDC permits those in circumstances, then to the extent possible, the camp has to have either a registered nurse or licensed practical nurse on premise at the camp overnight with the children also.
I think I get it. Thank you for that, Michael. So, and I'm understanding correctly. Y'all heard those provisions and guidelines and decided not to do camp at all.
No, sir. We did an analysis of where we were. We had concerns from some of the employees about their safety. We had concerns about how do we properly social distance the kids inside for the camps. We had concerns about the number that signed up. And more importantly, we had positions posted for our part-time workers for the camps. And we had a very low number of applicants for those positions for the summer. So taking all those considerations, we thought it was best that we would continue with postponing the recreation activities for the summer. We'd already made the decision not to do the pools because of concerns about how do you social distance at a pool. So we went ahead and that is our recommendation.
So do you have any proposed alternatives that we're gonna provide our youth with some type of enrichment or just the streets?
No, sir. We hope it, to use your that we're hoping that some of the local organizations that can operate on a much smaller level, such as churches and other neighborhood organizations, can possibly assist in that manner. But again, we looked at a number of things such as employee safety, children's safety, how you social distance in our buildings, because our programs are full programs. All those things were taken into consideration.
Any other questions of Michael about the governor's order?
I do. Are we planning to do? Is the tennis function gonna operate? And also, is the what's the thing? The water park? Are they gonna function during the summer?
As far as county operations, tennis, Bowding, all our parks, Tobo, Amerson, all those parks will remain open. As far as the water park, it is my understanding that they are still planning to open, but they are watching the governor's instructions very closely for that final determination.
Well, if we can't open the pools, how are we gonna allow a water park to open? And how do we justify allowing folks to play tennis close to each other when we aren't gonna be able to provide for children this summer? And I'm fully supportive of not having the programs in the rec centers this summer for the children. I just think it's too dangerous. That's the reason the schools are in limbo.
That's the main difference. You're correct. That is the main difference. One is an outdoor activity and one is indoor activity. So the outdoor activities we're proposing to remain because in the outdoors they are spaced out. Just like at Bowding, you have one person to a golf cart. Just like at the tennis, one person on each side of the court. So that is that major difference there in outdoor activities versus the children being inside the building in a very enclosed environment. The sheer, you're absolutely correct. There's a huge difference in those activities.
I don't see that we ought to allow any of it to take place, because I think there's too much. We're building in danger, I think, in the tennis and all of it. And if we're gonna allow tennis, we ought to certainly allow children to have some structured activities in these rec centers. But I'm not in favor of having any of it, because you're gonna have charges of us with disparate treatment of different groups of folks if we allow that.
I understand.
I
Michael,
hope you're able to explain it, because I'm not going to try.
Right. I understand. Michael has got another comment about the governor's order. Michael?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to mention that there's a resolution on for referral tonight to be considered by committees next week relating to Lake Tobosoffke, and that at Commissioner Allen's request, we've invited the proprietor of the Sandy Beach Water Park to come to committees next week. So if Commissioner Lucas, you have any questions for Sandy Beach Water Park about what their plans are, or whatever. He'll be available. He's been invited to come next week, so he should be available
For what?
to talk about this other resolution that Commissioner Allen has proposed relating to the fees at Lake Toba.
That'll be on the agenda for referral later tonight. That's all the announcements that I'm aware of. We do have a couple of pieces of new business, or specifically 1.5, I guess. I understand that Harold Spear's appointment to the Construction Appeals Board, that Mr. Spear was supposed to call in tonight. Is Mr. Spear on the line?
I am here.
Oh, how wonderful. That's great, Mr. Spear. Commissioner Lucas, why don't I turn this over to you? This was in your, this was in facilities.
In facilities.
It was in facilities and
Commissioner
engineering.
Jones.
So that's Chairman Jones.
Do you also have Ms. Stafford? Is she gonna be?
She was on the line last week.
Did we? Okay, is she an alternate or a regular member?
She's alternate those two.
Why is she an? Oh, okay.
Mr. Chairman Jones, do you want to have any inquiry of Mr. Spear? He was kind enough to call in today. Mr. Spear, thank you very much for being willing to serve on this Construction Appeals Board, and then for being with us tonight, sir. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, can you hear me?
Yeah, what?
Okay, you asked me, yeah, I would just like to thank Mr. Harold Spear for being willing to serve. He's very qualified to be in this capacity, and we appreciate him being willing to serve on this Construction Board of Appeals.
Question. Are we in the committee of the whole?
We are. Well, yes, but I was trying to let Chairman Jones, if they had any lingering questions from Facilities and Engineering, or if any other commissioner had a question of Mr. Spear.
I don't have any questions. Does anyone else have any that's on the committee or either on the commission at all? Do they have any questions for Mr. Spear?
Hearing none, my recollection is that he was a motion and second to approve him, subject to his being available to talk to us tonight. And so if there are no other questions, Mr. Spear, thank you so much again for your willingness to serve and for being with us tonight. You're welcome to stay. It's a public meeting, but if you want to leave, you're certainly entitled to.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm glad to serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spear.
I need to make a note real quick. Hey, this is Rachel managing the Zoom call. Someone has their audio up and it's creating an echo. So if you've got your audio up and you're able to, if you could turn it down, thank you.
I turned mine down, and I don't know if it's mine. I may need to close my office door because Joe and Valerie are outside in the other room. So if it continues, I'll get up and close my office door.
Okay. Good.
So if I didn't echo, then it's not mine. I turned mine down. Okay.
No item is on the consent agenda. So we have one item of new business that we'll get to momentarily about applying for a gateway grant. Sir.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir, Mayor Pro Tem.
Mr. Mayor. I wanted to untable the Dirt Road Entertainment liquor license and move forward in approving that. I thought that was going to be in committee of the whole.
I second it.
I understand Michael has been in communication with the attorney for Dirt Road Entertainment, and they wanted to be present at any further discussion of this, and we didn't make arrangements for them to be with us tonight. Michael, can you add anything to that?
Yes, sir. They've requested that the commission stay consideration for 30 days on that license.
I spoke with the attorney on yesterday, and they wanted us to move forward on it. That they said you had requested that they stay 30 days. No. And so there is an ordinance that Michael and I talked about on Friday that Commissioner Allen, Lucas, and Watkins were going to co-sponsor to be in line with the state order. So there's been a motion and second to move forward with that, Mr. Mayor. I called a motion, well, Mr. Watkins seconded.
That's true.
That's true.
Okay, so we got a motion to take this off the table tonight.
Correct.
And a second by Commissioner Watkins. So all in favor of taking this off the table, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
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 I don't know what the count was.
I think it was seven. I think it was 7-2. I had Commissioner Jones and Wynn. So I would say 7-2. So the ayes have it.
Correct.
It's off the table at this point. Commissioner Bivens, I see your hand up, sir.
Unmute.
He needs to unmute.
Unmute.
Yeah, you got to unmute yourself. It's a button at the top of the screen.
He's got it.
Oh, never mind. Rachel unmuted you.
I voted no.
Oh, okay. So I'm sorry. So that would be 6-3. I'm sorry. Thank you very much for correcting me. 6-3. The ayes still have it, so it's off the table. Mayor Pro Tem, you want to lead us in that discussion then?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. There is a state law that says that anyone that applies for a license can receive a license if there is not a current conviction. And so I'd ask Michael to draw up that same resolution or ordinance so we could be on the same level as far as the state and just go ahead and move forward with this. I know other commissioners expressed that they would want to co-sponsor it. And Michael, he can just share some information as far as what I mean as far as how state law reads versus Macon-Bibb local ordinance.
Yes, sir. I got in contact with the Georgia Department of Revenue agent that has jurisdiction over Middle Georgia, and he advised that GDOR is only concerned with convictions, that they don't consider charges at all that are pending charges. And so that's the information I relayed to Commissioner Tillman.
And Michael, when will you, although we can approve this tonight, when will you have that ordinance or resolution in place? Because I don't want to speak for the other commissioners, but I think Commissioner Lucas and Allen wanted to co-sponsor that, so we all can be on the same level, because sometimes we know that state law supersedes ours, but we just want to be fair to the citizens so we can all be on the same level of ordinances here.
I've started drafting your ordinance, and I should have it for the next cycle for if I'm not sure what committee it would go to, but if the committee chair would allow it for Tuesday, I believe I can have a draft done this week and get it on the agenda for Tuesday. Otherwise, it would be referred in the meeting 2 weeks from now.
Michael, I had a question. I thought there was some problem with failing to report the charges as a condition of the other alcohol license that this applicant already has in place.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, that's absolutely right. Under our current code, she had a duty to report these charges as soon as she was arrested, and that didn't happen. She renewed her license and did not report the charges that were pending at the time she renewed. And so I have some strong concerns about moving forward with approving the license while our code still remains as saying that she's not entitled to a license under the current state of our code. I would defer to the commission if they want to change the code. We can change the code, and then if she qualifies under the code as revised, that it would be appropriate to grant it that. But I have some concerns with approving an application in violation of our current code, just because of the precedential value and because of kind of the circumstances of the matter.
Any other commissioner want to be heard on this?
I wanted to ask a question. Are there currently charges against this person?
Yes, ma'am. I spoke with the district attorney's office, and she was arrested in April, and the charges remain pending. She has not been indicted, but she's been arrested. The charges remain pending. And my understanding from the DA's office is that they don't have any current intention of dismissing the charges. That's as of about a week ago.
Okay, well, I mean, but you lawyers tell me where that places a person. If they're charged, they're not convicted. People sitting in jail can vote because they're not convicted of anything. So
Michael,
where are we on this?
yeah, Michael, let me ask you a question so everybody's on the same page before they consider either approving or disapproving these licenses. To Commissioner Lucas's point, is there anything in either our alcohol license or state law that would categorically prevent the approval of this alcohol or these alcohol licenses based upon criminal charges? In other words, is a criminal charge without indictment an automatic disqualifier or not?
Give me just a moment to look at the code. The charge.
I think that's what you're asking.
A duty to report, right? The charge triggers a duty to report, regardless of conviction, and the conviction is an automatic disqualifier, both under state and local law. And if you give me just a moment, I can look at the other requirements. I was working on this just before the meeting started.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, that's fine. But I will say for Commissioner Lucas, she's out on bond right now, and so she's in the community, and the statute of limitations is 4 years. So the DA's office has 4 years from the date of her arrest to get in front of a grand jury and indict her. And once that happens, then it goes into the pre-trial and trial process, and that can take another year or longer.
But to clarify, there's two different things you're talking about. One is a criminal or is an arrest at this stage an automatic disqualifier? And that sounds like the answer to that is no.
Question.
Let me, Commissioner, if you just,
Yeah.
one second. Is that true?
So what the code says is that the commission has to weigh the public interest as it relates to activities which have occurred on the licensed premises or by the applicant. And that includes anything that would be a crime under the laws of the state of Georgia or the laws of Macon-Bibb County, anything that occurred at a licensed premises. And we've used these, for example, with the place on Montpelier, the fact that things have occurred in the vicinity.
So the commission under the standard can take into consideration the fact that she's been arrested in whether or not to deny. They don't have to, it's not an automatic disqualifier. It's a factor in whether or not they approve or deny, at least her arrest. Is that correct?
Right. It's a factor that has to be weighed in terms of the public interest, but the
disqualifier you're talking about would be her failure to report.
The failure to report, right.
The criminal arrest on her application. That's what you're talking about as a disqualifier.
Right.
Okay. I'm trying to clarify for everybody the distinction he's making.
Yeah, and actually that was my question. Does that failure to report, is that a qualifier for not approving it?
Yeah, let me find that section.
It's up to the commission.
It's a clarification thing.
You're talking about somebody that's already in business and that's been out for 2 years. And so I think that the whole ordinance Michael was working on was to clarify that under state law, this does not disqualify anybody from having a license, anybody going forward. And that was the ordinance that he was supposed to be working on, so we can be in line with state law. So we can approve this pending our approval of that ordinance in 2 weeks.
So here's what the code says. This is section 438B about the self-reporting requirement. It says, failure to make reports required by this section shall itself be grounds for the taking of adverse action up to any, including revocation of any license or denial of any application for a license under this chapter, as the commission or its designee shall determine. So that's the wording of the code section. The only constraint within that is that the commission cannot act arbitrarily. And so to the extent that similar circumstances presented again in the future, this would be precedent. Basically, you have to treat similarly situated applicants in a similar way.
Any other questions of Michael or any other commission want to be heard on this? Commissioner Jones, we got you now.
You're muted.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me? You sound like you're way down in a barrel. Hear me okay?
I can now. I'm the one that had my mute button on. I'm sorry.
Hear you much better. Thank you. We have compelling reasons to deny this license. Number one, the sheriff recommended that we did not. We've had recommendations before by the sheriff that met all the qualifications in the past, and then we've had trouble spots or hot spots that Commissioner Watkins has pointed out or Commissioner Tillman has pointed out, and I understood that and agreed with that. But I am not in favor of approving this license because we have compelling reasons not to do so. Mainly, Sheriff Davis recommends that we do not approve it. So we have standing, we have reason to deny the license.
If I may.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Watkins?
I know when this conversation first started, I believe Attorney Mike McNeil mentioned that the Dirt Road ENT had requested they be present for any discussion in an official capacity. And it seems as though this turned in from being a simple thing, which I think Commissioner Tillman was thinking, to something that's a little more convoluted. So I'm gonna request that we table and give them a chance to be here to present whatever it is they want to present.
Commissioner Lucas makes a second to that motion, non-debatable. All in favor of putting it back on the table signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
No.
You don't. Oh, well, I think the ayes have it. So
Ayes have it.
It's back on the table.
Obviously.
All right. So back on the table. That leaves one other item of new business that I'll get to right quick, and that is a gateway grant application. We wanted to file an application for a grant to beautify one of the gateways into the community. It's a $50,000 grant.
Which one?
And we selected the interstate interchange of I-75 in Pinona. So it's right down that Rocky Creek Road, Pinona, and where the interstate passes over it. That's one that we thought appropriate for beautification. It's a primary gateway into the community for a lot of people. So we wanted to apply for the grant, but the grant has to have an agreement, a willingness to enter into a maintenance agreement, because they don't want to plant plants that you're not going to water and grass that you're not going to mow and that kind of thing, and make things more difficult for the DOT. Michael, I hope I hadn't messed this up too bad. So can you take us from there and kind of tell us what the resolution is that we're voting on?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank y'all for having me. And like the mayor said, the whole idea here is that GDOT is proposing, they're actually doing this kind of all over the state. But essentially the idea is that if given the grant, we have roughly about $50,000 to work with to beautify the area. I actually was able to work off of a proposal for the same area from about 5 or 6 years ago. Obviously, I wasn't here at that time, so I'm unfamiliar with that, but I kind of was basing my design off of that same design. But essentially, I kind of had to rework some things for it to be GDOT spec and things like that. There are certain trees that you have to plant. They want it to be native. They don't want you to be within so many feet of billboards and so on and so on. But essentially, the key part of this is that if awarded the grant, the county, Macon-Bibb, we would pay the installation cost, which is, right around $49,000 to $50,000. And then it's a reimbursement grant, which, again, if awarded the grant, GDOT would reimburse us, and we would obviously know that ahead of time before we, they would tell us we were awarded the grant, then we would go do the work, and, obviously they would reimburse us. But the key part of this is a long-term maintenance plan, which, like the mayor said, includes mowing, weed eating, trash pickup, spraying weeds when necessary and things like that. And essentially it's, to be able to get the grant, again, it's a key piece of it that we sign off on that, that it's a resolution that, all commissioners have to agree on. And again, this is I've got some proposals. I reached out to Brightview Landscape, which they maintain Mercer and I-75's interchange. And then I also reached out to Landmark that does the eBid. So, I mean, these are two companies that are very familiar with this type of work. That's kind of why I reached out to them. And the yearly maintenance cost is going to average anywhere between $15,000 to $20,000. So, again, and GDOT's kind of the one thing that I'm having trouble with this is I've called every office I know to call at GDOT and haven't been able to get a real answer when they say long-term maintenance. How long does that mean? And
Forever. Forever.
Yeah, and truthfully, and again, like Commissioner Lucas is saying, I actually had a deal similar to this when I was out at Middle Georgia State University, and it was for 50 years. But, I've also seen other examples of these types of grants that do last forever. So, I mean, it is like the mayor said, there's a lot of business going on down there. There's a lot of, new industry coming. I know there's a proposal to do the Broadway and Pinona roundabout. And there's some other, projects that are out there. Obviously, I'm not overly familiar with all of them. I've just heard the details, I guess. But, and this certainly would tie that area together. I know talking with Stephen Adams with the Industrial Authority, he was excited about it. And, there's a lot of recruitment and, business ventures that come through, and beautifying that part of the interstate would make a lot of sense for us. It's just the key part of it, again, is that long-term maintenance deal. And if that's something that we're willing to undertake.
Well, I for one would hope that we could impose on Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful Commission to kind of step forward, help raise the money to take this on as a maintenance project. But yes, we need to stand behind it and guarantee the DOT that a maintenance agreement is going to be put in place. And that's a prerequisite for getting the grant. So I got Commissioner Wynn and then Commissioner Lucas.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Question is, what do we know, Michael, and this is to Michael Glisson, what kind of proposal they're going to have? What are they going to put? Trees, bushes, plants, or is it going to have to be something that's replanted? Or are we going to have to pay for that part of it? What kind of maintenance are we talking about? Just grass cutting or other types of maintenance? And the other thing is, I do want to say this in favor of this, is that interchange needs a lot of updating, and it looks bad. I mean, it looks bad if you know where we're talking about out there. It's not a good entrance to our city. But I do get concerned. I want to make sure, because we always talk about this. Commissioner Lucas talks about it a lot. Are we sure we're going to get the money back if we expend this money? That's $50,000, and money is such an issue right now. I just want to make sure we're going to get it back. But what kind of things are we talking about doing out there?
Yes, ma'am. The plan is very simple. You see some of this stuff up and down, 285 and areas like that in Atlanta that are really these big overdone landscapes, and that's certainly not what we're trying to do here. It's magnolias, some oak trees. It's basically just kind of ornamental trees and very low maintenance. I mean, it's essentially, pine strawing around the trees, once a year, and then basically the rest of it's cutting grass and picking up trash. So I mean, the plan itself is very simple, you know, just crepe myrtles and things like that. Nothing overly elaborate. And regarding the will we get paid back? I mean, I'm assuming that once awarded the grant and everything goes through, I know this would probably be more of a question director for Michael McNeil, but I'm sure once everything's signed, I would really think that we would kind of have GDOT to, you know, we have that. Yeah, they have to pay us back once everything's signed over. I mean, but again, I can't be overly sure about that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lucas, did you have something?
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad to see that we're applying for this again, because the beautification of the Mercer University was done with a grant of $50,000. I think the same kind of grant, and except for all the paper that people throw out sometimes when they come by there, Mercer maintains that. I believe they agreed to do it, and they do an excellent job of that. So I think if we could get a partner in there to adopt that one at Pine Honor. And years ago, when we were considering the other one at Mercer University Drive, I wanted it to be over at the Coliseum exit, but now that work is going on over there, I'm sure it's really going to be nice once that'll be taken care of. So I support this, and you're able to they do reimburse, you get the money. So I'm happy to see this. Our entrance ways need work. You go to Savannah and drive even 16 going in, they've just done so much as far as welcoming you, making it look nice, and coming 75 down near the new mall. That little exit there looks really, really nice. And the rest of them need to look that way as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, and you need to do video so we can see you.
I'm sorry. I tried to open it up and it wouldn't let me. Let's see if it doesn't work now.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, and speaking to what Commissioner Lucas just touched on, Mercer, yes, they do pay for their interchange at Mercer and I-75, and Brightview Landscape is one of the companies that I, reached out to, and that is the same person, same group that maintains Mercer's landscape. So I mean, that was my goal, to kind of, approach companies that are already doing this type of work. But obviously, with it being over our $10,000 mark, we would have to bid this out.
All right. Michael McNeil had one more comment, I believe. Michael?
Yes, Mayor. I just want to clarify what the resolution, this is to apply for the grant. They haven't actually awarded the grant yet. And so if they award the grant, then as part of the award packet, they're going to send us the specific terms that they have for the maintenance agreement and what they're going to do for the intersection. So we're just at the application stage right now. I just want to clarify that.
Right.
Further discussion?
I did want to tell everybody, if y'all were interested, I can certainly send over a copy of this design, just that way you have something to look at.
Sure. Do that, but is there further discussion? And if not, I need a motion in a second, I think.
So moved.
Got a motion and second by Schlesinger and Lucas, is who I think I heard. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. That'll be on our agenda for tonight as item M under old business, the last item of old business. That's all of the new business I'm aware of. Duke, anything else from the attorney's office? If not, I'm gonna run through the agenda for tonight right quick. We're going to convene here shortly at 6 o'clock. The first item is approval of the minutes. They've been distributed to you from our pre-commission meeting of May the 5th and the regular commission meeting of May the 5th. I think we've got committee reports that have been done. Chairman Watkins, I assume you'll give the one for operations and finance. And Chairman Lucas, will you give Economic and Community Development?
Yes.
Probably no report from Public Safety because we didn't have a meeting, but Chairman Jones, will you give Facilities and Engineering?
Yes, sir. If you've got some notes for me, Madam Clerk.
She says she's emailed them to you, so check your emails while we're waiting.
All right.
We got 15 minutes or so to get, and if in a pinch, she can always read off her notes for you. There's nothing on the consent agenda, so we'll go into old business. First item of old business is a resolution to nominate a slate of 3 to the Hospital Authority Board, from which the Hospital Authority will select one. The 3 applicants are John Hauser, Steve Kruger, and Eric Manson. The Economic and Community Development Committee heard that and recommends approval. Item B is a resolution appointing Warren Selby to post 1 to the Construction Appeals Board. Item C is the appointment of Bob Brown, Robert W. Brown, to the alternate post 1 position on the Construction Appeals Board. Item D is a resolution appointing Scott Pipkins to the post 2 of the Construction Appeals Board. Item E is the resolution appointing Keisha Stafford to the alternate post 2 position on the Construction Board of Appeals.
What
Item
is her
F.
area, Mayor? What is her area of expertise? What is her?
I know she works with her father at Stafford Construction. And,
yeah, I know, but she does more than just work.
Then that, hold on a minute. Let's see if I can't pull up her.
Michael has it.
Mr. Mayor, Michael spoke with her.
Michael's raising his hand.
Michael, I can't see you, but go ahead.
Yeah, she qualified under 3 of the different sets of qualifications. Post 1 as a general contractor, post 3, I believe, as supervising, post 5 is fire safety, and then post 3 is structural, I believe. And she qualified under all 3 of those sets of qualifications. Oh, mechanical. Post 3 is mechanical.
Oh, did she?
Yes, ma'am.
And she's an alternate? I guess you have to be overly qualified to be an alternate.
No, she's alternate to post 2, but this right up there ranks pretty high with post 2.
Got three specialties.
Okay, all right. Point made. Next is a resolution appointing Krunal Patel to post 3 on the Construction Board of Appeals. And item G is appointment of Harold Spear to the Construction Board of Appeals. And item H, a resolution appointing Steve Scalco to post 5. And the Facilities and Engineering heard all of those and recommends that we approve. Item I is a resolution authorizing the mayor to approve a professional services agreement with Replay Systems Incorporated for the purchase and installation of an E911 voice recording system. $173,139 be paid from Capital Improvement Fund. A Operations and Finance Committee heard that and recommends approval. Item J is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with Middle Georgia Outdoor Lighting, Inc. for $213,080 for the installation of the Musco lights at Bloomfield Park. And item K is a companion resolution to authorize the mayor to execute a purchase agreement with Musco Sports Lighting LLC in the amount of $484,000 for the installation of the lighting system, both of those at Bloomfield Park. And Operations and Finance recommends approval of both the lights and the installation. Item L is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a purchase agreement with North American Fire Equipment Company, NAFCO, in the amount of $47,136.25 for the purchase of V-Force fire protective gear to be paid from the general fund. Operations and Finance heard that and recommends approval. And then item M, we just did, that's the applying for the Gateway grant from the Georgia DOT. There are several items of new business that I'll read and refer. And since we've got just a few minutes, I'll run over them quickly. The first is an appointment to the Library Board of Trustees, Janice Habersham. I'm going to obviously refer that to the Economic and Community Development Committee. There's a resolution appointing Molly Wilkins to the Macon-Bibb County Pedestrian Safety Review Board. I'm going to refer that to the Economic and Community Development Committee. Item C under new business is a resolution to appoint Emily Hopkins to the Macon-Bibb County Tree Board. It used to be the Tree Commission, but we changed the name of it to the Tree Board. And we'll refer that to Economic and Community Development, along with item D, a resolution appointing Kimberly Pickens to the Macon-Bibb County Tree Board. That going to the Economic and Community Development as well. And then there's a third one, a resolution appointing Robert A. Sargent Jr. To the Tree Board, or refer that to Economic and Community Development. A resolution to appoint Alex Morrison to the Tree Board. So it sounds like we're populating the Tree Board. Refer that to Economic and Community Development. Ron Griffin, also to be appointed to the Tree Board. Refer that to Economic and Community Development. Item H is Jackie Harper, appointing her to the Tree Board. Item I is the appointment of Wayne Woodworth to the Tree Board. I'm going to refer all of those to the Economic and Community Development Committee. And then item J is an update and a resolution to rename Central City Park as Carolyn Creighton City Park in honor of Carolyn Creighton's contributions. That's got several co-sponsors, Schlesinger, Allen, Jones, and Wynn. I'm going to refer that to the Economic and Community Development Committee. I guess that's where we do most of our naming or renaming kind of things. The next is a series of quitclaim deeds to Mercer University for the streets that we closed a couple of weeks ago. Chestnut Street Lane, and one other. We voted to close the right of way. Now we're actually selling it to Mercer University so they can incorporate it into their plans for these recreational fields over there. So the first item K is a resolution to execute a quitclaim deed for the sale of property to Mercer totaling 0.05 acres at 1610 Chestnut Street for $4,060. Item L is a resolution to authorize the mayor to execute a quitclaim deed for 0.05 acres at 1620. That's so we got 1610, 1620 Chestnut Street for $4,400. Item M is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a quitclaim deed for sale of property in Mercer for 0.06 acres at 905 Linden Avenue for $1,958. Then one to sell to Mercer University totaling 0.13 acres at 923 Linden Acres for $2,273. And then the one for selling them a portion of Dannenberg Avenue for the purpose of accommodating, and I don't see the amount associated with that one in the caption. And the final one is P, I think, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a quitclaim deed for the sale of property to Mercer University for a portion of Chestnut Street Lane. I'm going to refer, there are a couple, one more, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a quitclaim deed for the sale of property incorporated in Mercer, portion of Chestnut Street, purpose of a new development. I'm going to refer all of these to Facilities and Engineering Committee to look at. Then item R is a resolution authorizing the mayor to grant an encroachment totaling 1,033 square feet at property located at 945 Hazel Street to Historic Macon, fair market value of $615.38. I'm going to refer that to the Facilities and Engineering Committee as well. I think that's where Historic Macon is actually building 3 new houses over there on Hazel Street in Bells Hill. Item S is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a professional services agreement with Coldwell Banker to hire Stephanie Folsom to provide real estate broker services for us. I'm going to refer that to Facilities and Engineering Committee as well. Item T, resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with FH Passion, SN Nielsen and Associates LLC for the demolition services and installation of upgraded stainless steel kennels at the Macon-Bibb County Animal Shelter in the amount of $106,540 to be paid out of 2012 SPLOST funds for animal control contingencies line item. I'm going to refer that to Operations and Finance Committee. Item U is a resolution to establish new regulations governing the Lake Tobosoffke recreation areas related to camping fees, parking fees, and facility rental fees. I'm going to refer that to the Facilities and Engineering Committee. So we've got a lot of work to do at our next committee meetings, and I'll try to read those one more time at the end of our regular meeting in case anybody tunes in late. But as always, stay tuned for more resolutions and ordinances to come down. Commissioner Bibbins, I see you've got your hand up, sir.
Yeah, you got a question. I want to make sure I understand the status of the naming for Carolyn Creighton. What'd you say that was again?
There's a new resolution that is co-sponsored by several of the commissioners to rename Central City Park in honor of Carolyn Creighton.
Okay,
and
good.
I think the name is the Carolyn Creighton City Park is what I understand the proposed name to be.
Yeah, I want to make sure I understood. I want to make sure I understood that because I support that idea.
Good. Okay. And I suppose this probably takes the place of, and you withdraw perhaps the resolution to rename the 3rd Street Median Park. But you'll get to that in the committee meeting, I'm sure. Commissioner Lucas?
Yeah, I would just like to ask the chair of engineering if he would please have the documents that show us the stated value of those properties that are being sold and the amounts. Like those for historic Macon, it's 3, you said it was 3. That's gonna build 3 houses and the property is $615. I'd like to see that.
Okay, my recollection is that's an encroachment into the street to kind of even up the street right away. So it's not the entire lot; it's just the encroachment to even it up with other lots along the street.
Okay, that's why the amounts are
right. We'll get all that information
if
before.
you could just get that. That would be interesting to know how you arrive at these amounts, you know, of monies that people pay us.
Right.
So that would be interesting to see.
Okay. Yeah, it would.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask something just for my own information and knowledge? What is the tree board? We've got so many people. This is new to me. And I asked Commissioner Allen, and he wasn't aware of that. But what is it? We sound like we got enough people for each tree in Macon assigned to that board.
It's a form of Macon-Bibb County Tree Commission.
But what is that?
Right, but now it's the tree board, and we've kind of let it
languish.
Well, what is it? What does it do?
Okay, languish, and we hadn't made appointments to it. Shame on me.
What does it do?
I'll read you what it says. You want me to?
Please do. Yeah, that's great.
It's established by, and it's a new one on me too, so I'm reading it.
Thank you.
We're
all learning today.
It's established by the Macon-Bibb County Code of Ordinances, created to, the entities will be included but not limited to studying the problem and determining the needs of Macon-Bibb County in connection with its tree planting, maintenance, removal programs, urban forestry management plan, consultation and assistance to the forester on any matter pertaining to Macon-Bibb County tree preservation, protection, replacement. So all related to trees.
I'm assuming this is on city property trees, right?
Bibb County, correct.
Or anybody's
overall.
No, I think they can make recommendations.
Sure.
You know, because they're concerned about tree canopy in general. But I think they can make recommendations. But hey, tune in to the committee meeting.
We will. I will. I will be there.
Okay, all right, very good. If there's no other questions or comments on this, I'll close this meeting out and we'll transition over and start the regular meeting.
Comment.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Watkins? Oh, Commissioner Tillman, I'm sorry, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, for those that know or remember Michael Ryan,
Yeah.
Then Michael Ryan used to be the chairman of the tree commission. And Michael Ryan is one of the biggest advocates in Macon-Bibb for trees. And so if you know Michael Ryan, that's what Michael Ryan does.
Okay.
Around here.
Well, glad to have that information. All right. Anything else? If not, pre-commission meeting is adjourned. And if y'all are ready, we'll transition over now as soon as they change the slide. Yep. All right. Let me call to order this meeting of the Macon-Bibb County Commission for Tuesday, May the 19th. This is our regular commission meeting. We earlier had a roll call and have 100% of commissioners in attendance.
Get off.
And with that,
He's doing real.
I'd like to deviate slightly from the printed agenda, and Rabbi, put you on the spot and ask if you would give us a brief invocation.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So let us pray. Our God and Creator, as we approach this Memorial Day weekend and we remember those who have made the ultimate sacrifice that we might be free, fervently we invoke your blessing upon our country and our nation. We ask that you guard us, O God, from calamity and injury, that you suffer not our adversaries to triumph over us, but that you let the glories of our just, righteous, and God-fearing people increase from age to age. We ask that you sustain with your wisdom those whom the people have put in authority, and all who are entrusted with our safety and with the guardianship of our rights and our liberties. We pray that peace and goodwill will obtain among the inhabitants of all lands, and that belief in you will continue to spread its many blessings among us, exalting us all in righteousness. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Rabbi Schlesinger. I appreciate that. First item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes. Our minutes of our pre-commission meeting and regular commission meeting of May the 5th have been prepared. Are there any changes or corrections that need to be made?
Move to approve.
Second. Got a motion and second to approve. I had Schlesinger, Wynn, and Allen. I think the type of
you can take the other two.
Okay. Further discussion? Here none. All in favor of approval of those two sets of minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. The minutes are approved. That takes us now to reports from our standing committees. And the first committee is Operations and Finance Committee. That report will be given to us by Chairman Watkins. Chairman Watkins.
Sorry about that. The Operations and Finance Committee met on May the 12th and took the following action. We approved an agreement with Replay Systems for a purchase and installation of E911 voice recording systems for an amount of $173,139. We approved an agreement with Musco Lighting for the lighting system at Bloomfield Park in the amount of $213.80. An agreement with Musco Sports Lights for the lighting system at Bloomfield Lights, the actual purchase of the equipment for $484,000, and an agreement with North American Fire Equipment Company for the purchase of B-Force fire protective gear in the amount of $47,136.25. This concludes the Operations and Finance report. Just to let you know that Operations and Finance will meet this Thursday at 9 a.m. to begin reviewing the budget. And that concludes the report.
Good. Thank you, Chairman Watkins. Next report, Economic and Community Development Committee, and that report will be given to us by Chairman Lucas. Chairman Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Economic and Community Development Committee met on May 12th, 2020, and we took the following action. The committee approved the following appointment. John Hauser, Steve Kruger, and Eric Manson were approved as the slate of nominees to succeed Patricia Robinson on the Macon-Bibb County Hospital Authority Board. The committee also heard a report from Wanzina Jackson on the CDBG additional funds for COVID-19. And we also received some information on Rosa Parks Square. This concludes the report of the Economic and Community Development Committee.
Thank you, Chairman Lucas. No report from Public Safety Committee, I understand. So that takes us to Facilities and Engineering. Chairman Jones?
Yes, sir. I was not able to find what the clerk sent me, so I'm going to ask Clerk Janice Ross to read the summary, please. I know some of the items, but I'll inadvertently leave something out.
Good. Madam Clerk?
You're on mute, Janice. You're on mute, Janice.
Okay, I apologize. The Facilities and Engineering Committee held their monthly meeting on Tuesday, May 12th, and took the following action. The committee approved the appointment of Warren Selby to post 1 of the Construction Board of Appeals. They approved Robert W. Brown for alternate post 1 on the Construction Board of Appeals. They approved Scott Pippin to post 2 on the Construction Board of Appeals.
That last thing from now.
Keisa Safford to alternate post 2 on the Construction Board of Appeals. Kunal Patel to post 3 on the Construction Board of Appeals. Harold Spear to post 4 on the Construction Board of Appeals, and Stephen Scalco to post 5 on the Construction Board of Appeals. And this ends the report of the Facilities and Engineering Committee.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Chairman Jones, anything else you need to add to that?
No, sir. I remembered we named. I couldn't remember all the names, and I didn't have a summary in front of me. So
good. Okay. Very, very good. That completes the committee reports. Nothing on our consent agenda, so we'll go immediately into old business. And the first item of old business is the resolutions to submit the slate of nominees to the hospital authority. I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution submitting John Hauser, Steve Kruger, and Eric Manson as a slate of nominees to succeed Patricia Robinson on the Macon-Bibb County Hospital Authority Board.
The Economic and Community Development Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no.
No.
Got 1 no, Commissioner Bivens, but the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Next is the first of several resolutions making appointments to the Construction Board of Appeals. I'll ask the clerk to read the first, item B.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission appointing C. Warren Selby Jr. to post 1 of the Construction Board of Appeals and for other lawful purposes.
Facilities and Engineering Committee recommends approval. Wow, look at that young picture of Warren Selby. Holy
Oh,
wow.
high school.
Oh, man.
High school picture.
All in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Ayes have it. Resolution is adopted. Item C is a resolution making another appointment to the Construction Board of Appeals. That's Bob Brown.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission appointing Robert W. Brown to alternate post 1 of the Construction Board of Appeals and for other lawful purposes.
I recognize him. That's another cute picture. Wow. All right. It's the Facilities and Engineering Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Resolution's adopted. Next is an appointment of Scott Pipkins to the Construction Board of Appeals. I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission appointing D. Scott Pipkins to post 2 of the Construction Board of Appeals and for other lawful purposes.
Spiffy looking.
There's another dandy
spiffy
photo
looking.
there now.
Telling you.
School
Is that his
Facilities and
wedding photo? Is that his wedding photo?
high school prom.
Facilities and
The
Engineering
prom.
Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
I vote aye for that young man.
Opposed, say no. Ayes have it. Resolution is adopted. Next is the appointment of Keisha Stafford. I ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission appointing Keisha Stafford to alternate post 2 of the Construction Board of Appeals and for other lawful purposes.
Facilities and Engineering Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Another appointment of Krunal Patel to the Construction Board of Appeals. I ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission appointing Krunal Patel to post 3 of the Construction Board of Appeals and for other lawful purposes.
Facilities and Engineering Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? I'm kind of waiting for the picture of Krunal Patel
Yeah,
to
I
come
wanna
up.
see that one.
I do too.
I
Let's
was
see what
trying
we
to
got on
delay, but
him.
I don't know that there's one.
I think there is.
Anyway, is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Resolution is adopted. Next is Harold Spear to the Construction Board of Appeals. Ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission appointing Harold F. Spear to post 4 of the Construction Board of Appeals and for other lawful purposes.
Facilities and Engineering Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Ayes have it. Resolution is adopted. Next is appointment Steve Scalco to the Construction Board of Appeals. I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
Resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission appointing Stephen V. Scalco to post 5 of the Construction Board of Appeals and for other lawful purposes.
Facilities and Engineering Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Next is a professional services agreement for an E911 voice recording system, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to approve a professional service agreement with Replay Systems Incorporated for the purchase and installation of an E911 voice recording system and maintenance agreement in the amount of $173,139 to be paid from the Capital Improvement Fund E911 machinery and equipment line item and for other lawful purposes.
Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor
Yes,
of the
sir.
resolution. Yep, Mr. Watkins? No, or was that
I
Mayor
think
Pro
it's
Tem? I'm sorry.
Chairman.
Commissioner Watkins
Sound
wish he
alike.
sounded like me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm
trying.
You know, this telephonic stuff is hard for me to discern. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
No problem. Hey, I'm just trying to find out, can we hear more about that particular E911 recording service? Because I know years ago, is this replace some stuff years ago? I know we lost some data. And can somebody answer, like, how long is this stuff stored? How does this work? And this is a third party company. Just explain what that is. When folks are calling in the E911, what's happening? What's this about? How does this work?
Dr. Moffitt, are you on the line, and can you help us with this?
Yes, sir. I can get you the particulars of the specifics of this particular device, but you're right. It goes into how long it's being held in the history. I can get the information for you and report it back to you. As a matter of fact, I can have the director come and give an update on E911 at a future meeting to give that information.
Now I tried to set him up because he used to be the former director, and I
But
just knew he was going to shine on this.
I don't know the particulars of this device though. This is better technology, so I didn't want to misspeak and say something accurate.
Okay.
Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Item J is the first of two companion resolutions for outdoor lights at Bloomfield Recreation System. I'll ask the clerk to read the first one by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to execute a professional service agreement with Middle Georgia Outdoor Lighting Incorporated in the amount of $213,080 for installation of the Musco lighting system at Bloomfield Park and Recreation Center to be paid by 2018 SPOS funds and for other lawful purposes.
Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Resolution is adopted. Next is the companion to that to install the lights we just bought, and I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to execute a purchase agreement with Musco Sports Lighting, LLC in the amount of $484,000 for installation of a lighting system at Bloomfield Park and Recreation Center to be paid from the 2018 SPOS proceeds and for other lawful purposes.
Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Next is item L, which is the purchase of some fire turnout gear, V-Force fire protective gear. I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to execute a purchase agreement with the North American Fire Equipment Company, Incorporated, in the amount of $47,136.25 for the purchase of V-Force fire protective gear to be paid from the general fund, fire department training, other supplies line item, and for other lawful purposes.
Operations and Finance Committee recommends approval. Is there further discussion?
Fire department.
Fire department, absolutely,
fire
absolutely.
department.
We love them. We love them.
Good.
All in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. And finally, a resolution authorizing the mayor to apply for a gateway grant. I'll ask the clerk to read that by caption.
A resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the mayor to apply for a roadside enhancement beautification council grant and for other lawful purposes.
The Committee of the Whole recommends approval. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. That brings us now to new business, and there are several items of new business, but more may come down during the week as the attorneys work overtime upstairs and trying to get resolutions and ordinances prepared for us. So please check the agenda that's published on Friday afternoon to be sure that you know of all the ordinances and resolutions that will be discussed at committee meetings beginning next Tuesday, the 26th. Holy mackerel, what happened to May? The 26th of May at 9 o'clock by Zoom. We'll be doing that again by Zoom. The first item of new business that has come down and is on the agenda to be read and referred is an appointment of Janice J. Habersham to the Macon-Bibb County Library Board of Trustees. I'm going to refer that to the Economic and Community Development Committee. Item B is the appointment of Molly McWilliams Wilkins to the Macon-Bibb County Pedestrian Safety Review Board. I'm going to refer that to the Economic and Community Development Committee. Item C is the resolution to appoint Emily Hopkins to the Macon-Bibb County Tree Board. We're going to refer that to the Economic and Community Development Committee. A similar resolution to appoint Kimberly A. Pickens to the Macon-Bibb County Tree Board, also referred to Economic and Community Development Committee. Item E is a resolution to appoint Robert A. Sargent Jr. to the Macon-Bibb County Tree Board. Going to refer that to the Economic and Community Development Committee. Item F, an appointment of Alex Morrison to the Macon-Bibb County Tree Board. Refer that to the Economic and Community Development Committee. A resolution appointing Ron Griffin to the Macon-Bibb County Tree Board is item G. I'm going to refer that to the Economic and Community Development Committee. Item H is a resolution appointing Jackie Harper to the Macon-Bibb County Tree Board. Refer that to the Economic and Community Development Commission. And item I is a resolution appointing Wayne Woodworth to the Macon-Bibb County Tree Board. I'm going to refer that to the Economic and Community Development Committee. Also, there's a resolution to rename Central City Park as Carolyn Creighton City Park. In honor of Carolyn Creighton's contributions to Macon-Bibb County. That's co-sponsored by Commissioners Schlesinger, Allen, Jones, and Wynn. I'm going to refer that to the Economic and Community Development Committee. Item K is the first of several resolutions to quit claim property to Mercer University over in the area of Chestnut Street and Linden Avenue. The first is at 1610 Chestnut Street to 0.05 acres at 1610 Chestnut Street, appraised value of $4,060 to be quit claimed to Mercer. I'm going to refer that to the Facilities and Engineering Committee. Item L is a companion to that to quit claim property at 1620 Chestnut Street. It's 0.05 of an acre to Mercer University for $4,464. Also refer that to the Facilities and Engineering Committee. Item M, a resolution authorize the mayor to execute a quit claim deed sale of property of Mercer University totaling 0.06 acres at 905 Linden Avenue, appraised value $1,958. Refer that to the Facilities and Engineering Committee. Item N is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a quit claim deed for sale of property to the Corporation of Mercer University totaling 0.13 acres at 923 Linden Avenue, appraised value of $2,273. Going to refer that to the Facilities and Engineering Committee. Item O, a resolution to authorize the mayor to execute a quit claim deed for the sale of property to the Corporation of Mercer University, a portion of Dannenberg Avenue, for the purpose of accommodating new development in the area. I'm going to refer that to the Facilities and Engineering Committee, along with item P, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a quit claim deed for the sale of property to the Corporation of Mercer University of a portion of Chestnut Street Lane for the purpose of accommodating new development in the area. Item Q is also a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a quit claim deed for the sale of property to Mercer University for a portion of Chestnut Street for the purpose of accommodating new development in the area. Refer that to the Facilities and Engineering Committee as well. Next is a resolution authorizing the mayor to grant an encroachment totaling 1,033 feet at property located at 945 Hazel Street to Historic Macon Foundation, Inc., fair market value of $615.38. I'm going to refer that to the Facilities and Engineering Committee. Item S under new business is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a professional services agreement with Coldwell Banker, Commercial, Eberhart and Barry Incorporated, Stephanie Folsom, to provide real estate broker services for the disposal of county-owned surplus real property. I'm going to refer that to the Facilities and Engineering Committee. Item T is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with FH Passion, SN Nielsen and Associates for demolition services and installation of upgraded stainless steel kennels at the Macon-Bibb County Animal Shelter in the amount of $106,540 to be paid from 2012 SPLOST funds for animal control contingencies line item. I'm going to refer that to the Operations and Finance Committee. Item U, which is the final item under new business, is the resolution to establish new regulations governing the Lake Tobesofkee recreation areas related to camping fees, parking fees, and facility rental fees. That's a resolution sponsored by Commissioner Allen. I'm going to refer that to the Facilities and Engineering Committee as well. That's all of the new business that has come down. But as I said earlier, be sure and check the agenda that comes out on Friday afternoon. Committee meetings next Tuesday, the 26th, that by Zoom beginning at 9 o'clock in the morning. Any points of personal privilege, Commissioner
Mr.
Wynn?
Mayor, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. I'm Public Safety Committee Chair, as you know, and although we haven't had reports, I just want to say this, that every day now is public safety. So we all have to be aware of what we do and how we act until we have this pandemic past us. So it's Public Safety Day every day.
Well said. Well said. Any other points of personal
Yes.
privilege, Commissioner Watkins?
Yes, gotta do a lot of prep, budget concern. The document that's online right now is unlike any other format I've seen. Is that an error, or that's what you're going with?
I haven't seen it, so I can't answer that. Dr. Moffitt, are you back there? Can you answer what's on the line and why it's different?
I wasn't aware. I need to look at it myself. It looks like the one that's in the book. Now I do know that the budget team presents in the book. We have the history in one document, and then the current budget proposal in another one. So you should be seeing two documents. So if that's what you're referring to as the difference.
I don't see the second document.
Can you put that up on
FY21? I'm wondering why we're doing it like that.
Let's see if Rachel can't share her screen and put up what is supposed to be on the website now. Rachel, is that right?
So yeah, just scroll to like page 5.
So if you go to Macon-Bibb.us, it is the main banner that's up there to click. And when you go into it, there's a link. It said the proposed budget can be seen by clicking here. And that takes you to this document that's on your screen right now. Proposed FY21 budget, table of contents. And then it goes through.
So Chairman Watkins, let me go back to you.
Just stop right here. Stop right there. Stop right there.
Whoops, stop right there scrolling.
Yeah, that's fine. Wherever. So this is what I'm speaking of. Typically when I receive a budget, it has the FY21 budget 20, so I can compare the difference between this year and last year.
That's the second document.
I think it's usually, I thought it was some type of budget law or code that you showed me 3 years so I can see the history of it to make a decent decision.
That's the second document. If Rachel,
okay, why is it in two documents?
Because one for the proposed budget, you can see the headlines there. In the past, what y'all did last year is y'all wanted us to break it down by those different proposals.
Go to the second document.
And so that's what we did there, is the one that showed the 24-day furlough, the 40-day furlough with recreation, the 1-day furlough with all the departments in the proposed budget document. And then the second one is the 3-year history.
Oh, okay. So can you pull that document for me?
Right. Do you just keep scrolling down, Rachel? Is that what you do?
Yeah, budget history right there.
It.
Oh, there it is, budget history.
Okay, can y'all send me an Excel spreadsheet with both of those combined so we can do it like normal, please?
I mean, I can't do that. We'll have to ask IT if they can get that done for you. I
mean, I'm bringing this up. This is very different from any proposal that I've seen in the last decade. So I don't feel like I'm wrong for objecting here.
No, I mean, but just I know in the 2 years I've done here with the budget, based on how y'all performed in the past, that was the way that was the easiest way, because you have the comparison, but then when they have to go in and make changes, it is very difficult to go in by department. So we put all of them in one column there, and that's in that first document. But yeah, I can get them to put everything in one spreadsheet for you, and I have that for you Thursday.
All right, thank you.
Any other comments by commissioners? Points of personal privilege? If not, we've reached the end of our agenda. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
And without objection?
Without objection.
We are adjourned.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.